All right, in today's video, we're going to hook up our bomb ability and make it so that we can actually use our ability button to pull out a bomb. We can throw it and then use it to fight our enemies. Hi, my name is Michael. Welcome to my 2D action and adventure RPG tutorial series. Follow along and learn how to create your own AARPG in Godot 4 using GD script. All right, so where we left off here was we have this bomb. Let's go ahead and run this scene and see. We've got a bomb and it works, it explodes, we can pick it up and throw it and it damages the player. But really how this bomb should be designed is so that when we tab through to our bomb ability here, that we're able to press the ability button, which currently is what throws our boomerang. It does nothing right now, right? And in fact, you can see down here, my console's logging bomb because we kind of started to hook that up. But we want to take this full circle, make it do that. We'll make it so that it subtracts the quantity of bombs, right? So that each time we throw one, it decreases. If we run out, we can no longer throw them. Now, if you haven't been following along, make sure that you look at the previous videos in this little series about the bomb, and those will be linked in the description below. And otherwise, we're ready to get going. All right, so I'm going to open my player scene. I happen to have it open already, so that was easy, but go ahead and open yours. And what we want to do is we want to adjust, we've got our player abilities, and I'm going to go ahead and open that script. We're going to update the bomb function that we have in here, or I should say just this bomb case down here where we should be throwing the bomb. Okay, so we'll create a function for that. And we're going to have to do some other updates to the player, like the throw state or the lift state rather, so that we can kind of get a little bit smoother animation. And then we'll also tie in the UI so that gets updated, and a few things along those lines. Okay, so let's go ahead and start just by coming in here and we'll set up this new bomb function. Now, like we did boomerang ability, I'm going to go ahead and just copy this, paste it, except we're going to call it bomb ability. So we'll make this new function, okay? And let's see, we'll do it right after the boomerang ability. Now, the first thing our bomb ability needs to do is just determine if we have any bombs in our inventory. So we'll just start with the check. We'll just say if player, let's see, we have a bomb count that we added in a previous video. So if that is, or if it's equal to, I'm going to say less than or equal to just in case. It shouldn't ever be less than 0, but if it's less than or equal to 0, then we'll return. We're not going to do a bomb. Otherwise, we'll do something, right? Now, this should just work just fine because, you know, we'd already set up our unhandled input here with the ability action press to kind of call these. So again, if you need to go back and review that, if you don't have this in your scripts, then you can. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and call that ability. And let's just put in here, oh my gosh, I don't even care that it's misspelled, bobbed ability. Okay, so we'll just test this and make sure that this little change works so that we're calling our bomb ability. So let's see, if I go over to bomb, I'm going to drag this up a little bit and let's see, press the ability button. You can say it's saying it, you can see that it's saying bobbed ability. Okay, so that's working. It's going through here. So in the case when we do have a bomb, what do we need to do? We need to do a couple things, right? Like we need to decrease the number of bombs we have in our inventory, not the dollar, not the cost, the value, decrease number of bombs. We also want to update our player HUD. We need to, of course, create a new bomb or create or spawn maybe, instantiate, there's the right word. And then we also need to maybe put that in the player's hands so that the player is carrying it, which also means we need to put the player into the carry state or the lift state. Player lift/carry bomb. That's what we're going to be doing here. We also need to do a couple things to tie in this interactable that's on our bomb so that it knows that it's been picked up and things like that. Okay, but we'll handle that as we get through this. So first thing is pretty easy, decreasing the number of bombs. We can just go to our player and just take the bomb count and subtract it by 1. So minus equals 1. So in order to test this, let's just go ahead and print out the bomb count real quick. So we'll just print player.bombCount like that. And then if we run our scene and switch over to the bomb, you can see each time I press the key, we're getting fewer and fewer, and it stops at 0 because we no longer have any bombs. Okay, so that's working. Easy peasy. Now let's go ahead and do this, update the player HUD. This should also be easy because we did build some functionality, I think. Let's just check our player HUD. We have a player HUD global script, right? Now in here, let's see, we have, what do we have? We've got some update functions, update arrow and update bomb count. So we've already built this function, so we can just simply call this now. So that'll be easy. So we'll say playerhead.update bomb count. Okay, and then we just need to provide it the count, which is just our player bomb count again. So player.bomb count, easy like that. Now we don't need to worry too much about the inventory. If we go ahead and run this though, let's just see what happens. So when I look at my inventory, I have 10 bombs. If I try and use some, oh, you can see it's actually updating here, right? So I've just used a bunch. The inventory already works because we already built that to check the number of bombs when we load this inventory screen. Okay, so now we've got both of those working, looking good. Okay, the next bit is a little bit more involved, and we're going to kind of do both of these at the same time, right? We'll instantiate a bomb, we'll set up the player, get him in the right state, and we'll do all of that. Let's go ahead and just instantiate the bomb. So we're going to say var bomb, and it only needs to be of type no 2D right now. Equals, and actually if we look at our bomb, that's what it is, right? It's just a 2D scene, okay? But back to our script. So we've got our node 2D of our bomb. This is going to be a new instance of our bomb scene. And so really, we don't have that set up just yet. We've got one scene preloaded here, which is our boomerang, but we also need to do the same for our bomb scene. Okay, so we'll just change this to BOMB, bomb, and then I'm going to come in here, delete that. And then I wonder if I can get the here show in file system, and then we can just drag that bomb in here. Okay, so I already had my bomb scene open. That made that easy, but just find it, just drag it without holding any modifier keys, and it'll put the path to that resource in there. Okay. Okay, so now we have a bomb, a reference to our bomb that we can instantiate. So we'll say bomb.instantiate. And that's all we really need to do to create it. But we need now to take that bomb and place it in the player, place it in the scene. So let's just start by adding it to the scene. So we'll just say, well, one way we could do this, right, is we could get the parent of the player and then add this as a child of it. But there's actually a really handy piece of functionality that I've overlooked, and it's called add sibling. So if we say player, because we want the bomb to be kind of in the same level of the scene tree, so we can say player.add sibling. And then in here, we just pass in the bomb that we just created, okay? This would almost be enough for us to see it, but it's probably going to instantiate it at the 0, 0 coordinate. So before we test it, let's go ahead and give it a position. So we'll just call or set the bomb's global position here. And we can set it equal to the player's global position so that it'll just spawn at his feet. And voila. And of course, it goes without saying, but we do already have a reference to our player from within this ability script. This is something we set up when we built this decades ago, it feels like. Okay, so here we go. Let's take this and let's run our little scene here. And I'm going to switch to my bomb ability. Now, when I press the bomb button, it is leaving bombs on the ground. And I just absolutely love this little animation. Now that's pretty good. And for certain games, that might be all you need for the bomb, is just leave it on the ground. Okay. And in fact, I want to just test this real quick. Let's go ahead and just demo something. We should be able to hopefully pick that bomb up. Yeah, I can pick it up and throw it. Okay. So these bombs are fully functional at that point. Now, the difference with what we want to do with our game, like I mentioned, is we want the player to be carrying the bomb when you use one. So he'll like pick it up out of his pack and just hold it up, and then you can throw it. Okay. With this next step, we're going to introduce another little wrinkle into all of this, because I want the player to enter the lift and carry state and be holding this bomb. That means we should really only be able to use the bomb ability if we're in states that are compatible with it. Okay, and so what we can do is here in our else statement, we'll say if. Okay, so we're going to add a condition here. And so what we'll do is we'll get our state machine, which we don't actually have a reference to, do we? So we want a reference to our state machine in here. And let me just come down here, open up my player scene, because this is where it resides. And then I just need to find my state machine. I'm going to drag and drop that in there, hold Control. Okay, we've got our state machine. And I also want to get a reference to the lift state, okay? Because we're going to be modifying this state slightly. The states that are valid for throwing a bomb in my game are just going to be idle. So I'm going to drag that in, and then walk. Okay, I don't want them to be able to throw a bomb from any other state. So now that we've got this set up, I'm going to come down here. So if our state machine right? We started writing this new condition here. We're going to check the current state. So if the current state equals idle, idle, or, and I'll just go ahead and copy this. If it equals, go to space there, if it equals walk, okay? If the walk or the idle is the current state, then we know we can proceed with this. Okay, so that's our little check there. So that way, if you're attacking, you won't like pull out a bomb mid-attack or doing your spin attack or anything like that. Or even when you're damaged, you know, taking damage or you're dead, this will help prevent some bugs. Okay, so here we go. We've got, let's see, if we're in those states, then what we want to do is we want our player to change state. And actually, we don't need to change the state so much from here because I think our bomb will allow us to do that, right? We're creating a bomb. We just need to get an instance or get a hold of that throwable object that is a child of the bomb. And it's got a function in there called player interact, okay, which will allow us to pick up the bomb. Okay, so we're gonna get into a couple things here with the player interact. We're gonna say player manager.interact handled. We've got this little interact handle boolean. I'm gonna just set that to false real quick, just to make sure that he can pick up, because if this is true, which it normally is, then we can't pick up. And then next, we want to take our bomb. We need to find the instance of the throwable script within there. So I'm going to make a new variable and I'm going to call it throwable, and it is of type throwable bomb equals, and then we're going to say bomb.findChild. And then we just need to pass in the name of it, and it should be called throwable. So let me just type this in there like that. And let's look at our bomb and just make sure. Yeah, so see this node here called throwable? It's the one that has our script attached. So we're going to just grab that and get a reference to it. This will allow us to call functions on it. And so next what we can do is just call our throwable and say player.interact. Not player dot, but player underscore interact. Okay, that's the function, right? This is the function that you would normally call when the player walks up to the bomb and presses the interact button. Okay, we're just going to force that to happen. So if everything's set up properly, we should be able to pull a bomb out. Let's just try this real quick. Hey, there we go. And now I can throw it. And you can see it's decreasing the number of bombs each time I do. Everything is working. The bombs damage me. I can even pick up, oops. I had a little bug there. I'm having an issue with like maybe picking up the bomb. That's interesting. We'll have to address that. Okay. So let me just try this one more time. Let's see. Boink. Okay, that one worked. I'm not sure why I was seeing that. Okay, I can pick up the bombs I've thrown. And let's just look at our debugger. We're going to have an error in here, it looks like. This is an issue disconnecting from a non-existent function in our interact pressed. Okay, so we'll have to look at that. But actually, so far, that's working pretty good, right? We've got a little minor bug, but we can throw the bombs. There's one other thing I don't like about this. Let me just go back here. It's like he picks it up off the ground, okay? So if I just come here and throw my bomb, it's like he picked it up off the ground. And I think that's kind of goofy. Now, there's a couple ways you could handle this. One is you could make a different state for pulling things out of your pack, right? You could skip the animation altogether and put the player straight into the carry state, which might be equally janky. And rather, what I want to do here before we address this bug is I want to just make it so that we only play the last piece of the animation. So the bomb's like already halfway up and then he just picks it up. All right. Okay. So in order to do this, let's go ahead and let's see, let's find our lift state script. So I'm just going to come up here and control click on it. Okay. So within this state, basically what I want is I want a way to start the animation at a later part of the animation, like a middle frame or something. Like if I come down here to my player and I look at the animations, and then let's find the lift, which starts with L. Can I find it? Lift down. So really what I want is I want the animation to start somewhere around here, right? Like boink, so that he's picking it up already. He's not all the way on the ground, but he's maybe at his waist. Okay, we'll do something like that. Now, again, alternatively, if you made a custom state, you could have a completely different animation. That would resolve this as well. But this is a good way to do it without having to create a whole bunch of new sprites. I want to make a new variable, and I'm going to call this start animation late, or I'll just say anim for short. This is a bool, and by default, it will be false. Okay. Now, this animation late, every time we exit the state, I want to reset that to false. so that when we do change this, it'll go back to being false, because we're going to set it to true, which will cause it to behave differently, right? So before we finish this, we've got our start anim late. Let's go back to our abilities, and down where we have our bomb ability, let's just go ahead and set that. I'm just going to come up here, and before we do any of this stuff, I'm just going to get our lift state. So lift references that state, and then we'll just set the start anim late equal to true right here. Okay, so we're going to just set that, and then when we go back to our lift state, now we can implement this, and it should just start working. Okay, so we're setting it to true, and then by default it's false, and we're always resetting it. Okay, now in here we've got our lift animation, and we've got all this stuff set up. Really all we need to do is right after we update the animation to the lift animation, then we can just do a check. So if start anim late equals true, then we want to adjust it. And we're just going to grab our player, and then we have a reference to the animation player, and then we can seek to a time. Now how this seek works is it seeks the animation to the seconds point in time. Okay, so what we're providing here is the number of seconds into the animation. So by doing this, we're just going to tell it to, like, fast forward or skip forward to 0.2 seconds in the animation. Now, if we run our scene again, and then I pick it up, there we go. So now the bomb is being just kind of pulled out. It's a lot less weird and harsh. Now this issue where I can pick up the bomb again, I'm pretty sure that's just like maybe we didn't destroy the bomb. Maybe we overlooked a step in our previous videos, but that looks to be working pretty good. So we've got everything working down to the ability to pick up and throw. We can pick it up again, and we can die. And of course our inventory is working. We've got 3 bombs here. We've got 3 bombs in our HUD. And if I just use them up real quick, now I can no longer pick up a bomb. Now what you might want to do in the case where you can't pull out a bomb, you might want to play an animation or shake the UI or something like that. But the general basic functionality now works where I can't pick up a bomb, or can't pull out a bomb, I should say. Okay, now let's look at this little bomb. Really, all I think it is a simple bug in how we have this bomb set up. In our script, we have no way to queue free it, because we used to, with a normal throwable, we would queue free the throwable when it collided with something. But with the bomb, we removed that functionality. It no longer collides. And instead, we just let it play. And, we've got these animations set up. Well, that's not the part that does it, right? But when the timer plays out, then we explode, and then we have on animation changed. Really, I think the simplest way to handle this is just to come into our bomb, and in our animation player, let's go ahead and open up the explode animation. What we need in here is, let's just add a track, a call method track, and we're going to call a method on the bomb node. So I'm going to say okay. Now it appears at the bottom, and then we can just simply come in here and put a keyframe in at some point. I'm going to put it towards the end here. Here, right click and say insert key. Now we can call any function that exists native to this node. Now, if this node had a script attached, you could call those functions as well, but this is just a node 2D. And what we want is we want the queue free. So I'm just going to type free in the search, and we'll call this queue free. And there we go. We can see that it's snapping to my interval here. I'm going to set it to 0.05, and I'm just going to, oh yeah, I guess that's right there. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got a queue free, and in fact, it's probably fine at the end. I just worry that it's outside the range of the animation, so let me just add a tiny bit on. Okay, so here we go. We've got our queue free. So now when we run our game, now the bomb should properly free itself, and we shouldn't be able to pick it up anymore. So let me just throw one of these. And there we go. I can't pick it up. So we fixed that bug. So there we have it. That's the tutorial. That wraps up most of the bomb. Of course, in the future, we're going to want it so that there are item drops on the ground that will add bombs to your inventory. And we'll handle that all together when we do arrows and bombs together, because we've got this bow and arrow ability as well that we're going to have to deal with. So if you guys are enjoying this content, then please give me a thumbs up. and or subscribe to my channel if you're new and you want to see what's coming next. I am working on a couple other projects right now. Some of them are going to come to fruition as a separate tutorial series that will tie into this. In particular, right now I'm working on a time of day, day-night cycle kind of a system that'll be simple, work for 2D games, top-down or side-scrolling, and we'll build it in a separate project. It'll be modular, so even if you're not interested in the action RPG and you want to see that, you can learn how to build it, and then at the end we will integrate it into this project. I've also got some pixel art and some sprite sheets I've been working on for players, so look forward for that coming soon as well. And I want to give a shout out to my Patreon supporters, and as always, we'll see you next time.